Well, Guido Belgiorno-Nettis, I think you're the envy of everybody in this paddock, having two immaculate Ferraris to have a play around with at Phillip Island.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how lucky can you be? As everybody says, I'm living the dream. I got an F1, I got another one, I got a T car, and the boys at Superior Automotive Services do a fabulous job in preparing them. Just did a qualifying, got pinged for being a bit noisy down the straight.
Can't understand that. Well, you've got to be noisy with these things.
Yeah, you do, and particularly if you're qualifying, so turned it right up, got the map, biggest map I had, and tried to get the right time. But look, otherwise, these cars are just beautiful. They're really special cars that were raced in the mid-'80s, and this is probably one of the prettiest of that era, I think, personally. And as a result, over the years, we've been campaigning the cars through historic racing in Sydney, Eastern Creek, Adelaide, been to New Zealand, down here. This is, of course, the perfect circuit for it, so we're very lucky.
What lap times does this get around here when you're out in anger? Because this isn't the first time you've been down here for the Classic, is it?
No, it isn't. Probably I've done a 28 here, 128, but today was a 130. I think I'm not sure what I'll get in the qualifying. It just depends on the conditions on the track and how sticky.
28 is MotoGP standard.
Yeah, that's right. So it's quick. I'm not mucking around, but I think the car with a proper F1 driver would probably do a 24. I think there's still another 3 or 4 seconds in it. So, but I'm an amateur. I drive once a year, so I've got to be careful to make sure I keep it on the black stuff.
Exactly right. And being a name with Belgiorno-Nettis, you must have had a love affair with the prancing horse for quite some time.
I have, of course I have, and I started with a Boxer actually. I bought a 365 Berliner Boxer. It was my first car in the early 90s, and from then it just moved, and I've bought that car, the 27 car in 96, and then this one in 2006. So just had the opportunity to do it, and that was obviously turned out to be a very good decision, because not only do I drive them and enjoy them, but they're cars that I've been able to bring into the country and people can see them, which is fantastic.
And the history of them as well. It's like some of the older cars you've seen here over the years, but this is like the modern era of Formula One.
Yeah, it is, and really the doyen of those days was Michele Alboreto, who drove that car mainly, although he did drive the chassis, and Stefan Johansson drove the car number 28. And those guys really knew what they were doing. I had Stefan actually come and drive this car in Adelaide a couple of years ago, so it was great to have him back in the car. He loved it. All the memories started flowing back.
But you got some stories out of him.
Yeah, of course. Not to be.
I was going to say not for public consumption.
For public consumption, no. But I think if you look at the unfortunate situation that happened in the '85 season for Michele Alboreto, he was leading the Drivers' Championship by miles halfway through it, and then the car unfortunately became a bit unreliable. Silly things, turbos blowing up, alternators not working. I mean, nothing fundamental, but the car was really good, really quick, and he therefore lost the championship that year, which was a real pity for him and for Ferrari. So these cars, though, I think represent a very important part of that history, because these cars and Michele and Johansson actually did the best in that turbo era of any other Ferrari cars and driver combination.
Where did you source them from, and how much hunting did you have to do to find them?
Well, so in 1996, Enzo Ferrari had some years earlier, in fact at the end of the '85 season, had gifted the 27 car to Count Guge Stanon, who was a great supporter of Ferrari, both financially, and he was also Michele's patron and supporter. And at the end of the season, Enzo gave him that car, so that car was given to Count. And that, and then he was in his 80s when I bought it, and he got to the point where he couldn't drive it, couldn't enjoy it, so it went onto the market, and I was the lucky guy who got it.
The one you're sitting on?
So this one, I was actually going through the web trying to find an engine, because I remembered seeing an engine for sale years earlier, and because I was starting to campaign the 27 car quite a lot in historic motor racing, and I thought, well, I've got to have an engine, otherwise I'm going to miss meetings, because we have to strip the engine down every 4 or 5 meetings. And long story cut short, I was looking and I found this car, and I thought, can't be for sale, it must be an old ad or something, but it wasn't. It was on the market. And I thought, well, bugger it, I'll just get the whole car. Then I'll get the engine with it.
And well, finding it and sourcing them, and how did you go about making sure they're original? Because obviously, like you said, there's probably a few replicas floating about.
Well, actually, I've not seen a replica. Nobody's tried to do a replica. But there's no way when you see one of these cars that anybody could replicate it, because firstly, the engines are very special, these V6s, and Ferrari made them, and there's nothing like them. You know, they're quite unusual. The bank of the cylinders and the turbo, the placement of the turbo. So there's a lot of things about this car that are unique, and you can't confuse. As soon as you see one, particularly not for myself, knowing that car so well, as soon as I saw the photos of this car, so yeah, that's a real car.
What about parts and everything? Like, obviously, they've got to be maintained. Do you have to machine your parts, or is there a hidden network that, you know, if you're in the know, you know where to go and get the part?
We've had a bit of both. We've had to re-engineer some parts from scratch, but we have a very good relationship with Ferrari in Italy, and they've provided a lot of parts for us. I've sent Rodney Gibbs, one of my mechanics, to Italy. He's actually spent a few days with them and gone through stuff and picked up new parts and whatever. So we've got a relationship. So they know that we're running the cars, and they're very happy to support us. And I don't know, I'm not sure if that's unusual or whatever, but I think having also an Italian heritage, and they sort of know me, and they brought their Cliente team across to Australia in 2014. So I met all those guys again, and you know, they saw the cars in the flesh, and they just loved it. So we've got a good relationship with them.
Well, they just come out of the factory floor, so once you've got that relationship with people, it makes it good too. Yeah,
well, we've kept them completely original. So I think the cars are actually much more reliable than they were in the day because of newer quality. The parts and the metals are better, the metallurgy, and pretty well everything that goes with that is improved. And these guys know these cars so well that I can't remember the last time the car actually didn't do the job.
Now yourself, you haven't just jumped off the street out of the office or whatever and got into a Ferrari. What's your pedigree of racing and stuff over the years?
Well, that's it. I never raced.
Really?
Just jumped in it, did some demonstration laps at lunchtime, started feeling that this is really good fun, and the guys in historic racing thought, we've got to have this car come and run with us. So they sort of let me start with them at the back of the grid, and then I just nibble over 15 years now. Just nibble to the point where I've got the lap record at Eastern Creek in historic racing, 124.
124.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling. But yeah, the G-forces.
Yeah, they're about 2. Doesn't sound that much, but when you're in the car, there's quite a lot going on. So, you know, going around the corner, I mean, I just on that last qualifying lap coming on the straight, the car was drifting, and I thought, okay, I'm about at the end of it now. I can't go any harder.
Well, go out and have some fun, Guido, and good to catch up with you.
Thanks, Mark, and lovely to see you after more than 50 years.
50 years, long time, mate. Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, we were schoolmates, so...